Okay, so I just picked up my most recent purchase, the Stratus SAE MS9000XT. This is the extra tall, or extra wide, extra tall. This goes to 48 inches high. So I'm gonna do a review on this. A little bit of a story that goes with it. So right here, this is how it came. By doing a dock pickup, I can save the $150 for the residential delivery. I've got the equipment, trailers, skid steers, stuff like that to get it off, so it was easy. So here we are, a little banged up. When I went to the freight yard, XPO, to pick it up, listening to these guys come on and off of those truck and trailers they got with their forklifts, they're like cowboys. But I can't believe stuff doesn't get more bashed up than this. But anyways, I'm not going to film a complete video of every step like everybody else has done. Nothing against that, but this just takes time. So it comes apart pretty easily. I'll do some videos along the way, stitch them together into one video, and I hope this helps somebody. There's not a ton of videos out there on these. I couldn't find anything with an extra tall, or the high height, the 48-inch high lit scissors that were out there. My garage is 9'6" to the ceiling. So on these other cars that we have out here, they can go, I got back in the corner behind that van is a Corolla, 15 Corolla I've been working on. There's an 07 Cobalt, and there's a 16 Cruise. I've got a 2010 Avalon. So they all should be able to go to full height in here, just miss the ceiling. Except for my Yukon, it won't be able to, but hey, anything's better. I think even 2 foot off the ground is better than crawling around under jacks and ramps. So I'm gonna get this opened up. My hopes is to strap the bars and lift it up out with the skid steer, and then pull the skidding out and then bring it in and set it down. So that's the plan. So we'll get some pictures along the way, and I hope this is able to help somebody. Okay, so here we are, we're opened up. Pretty much the whole thing is in here. I was a little concerned at the shipping yard when the forklift picked it up. There was such a bow in the skid. I mean, obviously there's a lot of weight on the right and left lamps, or right and left, or left and right, depending on which way you're looking at it, ramps. And those bars, that's only what, 2-inch, probably schedule 40, maybe 1/4-inch wall pipe. So it's gonna flex. It just makes you a little nervous when you see that happening. But here it is. It comes with the rubber pads here, and block pads, 2-inch block pads here, squash pads, all the wheels, ramp extension, stuff like that. So my plan is putting straps there, and there. Put 4 straps, basket it up to the forks, lift this straight up, pull the skid out, and then bring it in, set it right down, set up the wheels and all that. So far so good. And then the next thing is the power unit out on the trailer still. But right now, this is what we're working on. So basically, this is what I did. I just strapped it. Could have used some shorter straps in the front, was all I had. I had the shorts in the back. Strapped it up, lift it. Now I'll be able to back it out, move the skid, and then I'm just going to bring it in, set it on the floor here, then we can move it once we put the wheels on it from there. All right, so we got this in, set in place. Everything looks, for the most part, okay. Most of the ramps might be just a touch out of square, but maybe there's packing material under there and they just need to get lifted up the first time, and that resolves that. Just, first things I've noticed. Right there, it's a little bit tweaked out. Same there. Looks like they're both leaning in a little. Overall, from what I can tell, welds look good, penetration, you can see it penetrating through, so just on a precursory look, everything looks good. The hoses come well protected. A little damage here on this here. There's no damage on the skid, so it's probably from the factory. Just it looks like a really cheesy, cheap heat shrink, nothing heavy like what we use here in the States. But obviously this is built overseas. That's the bars I was telling you. You can see there's a little bit of bow in them. Almost kind of like how a trailer axle has a little bit of bow to level out. Maybe once it's under load, that all flattens out. That might be the design. I don't know. I don't think it's anything to lose sleep over. Got the power unit opened up. This is how it looks inside. Fairly well packaged, so all looks pretty good so far. I'm gonna get that out of here. Just looking to see if what there is for paperwork. I'm gonna be calling it a quit for tonight. I'm gonna go out to get some dinner. Plus I need oil. And it takes just regular hydraulic oil, I think AW44 or whatever. I gotta pick some up. But I'm hoping there's some paperwork in here that kind of calls that out. I've heard reviews saying there wasn't much of any information. We'll see. You know, maybe they've gotten better with their information, and we'll see. So that's it. So one more quick video before I call it a day. So I got the power unit out of the box. Pretty straightforward. You know, your average, basic overseas hydraulic pump. Can't really expect much more. Control cabinet up here. This closes. You know, all your buttons here. It doesn't come with a cord connector on the end. It's no big deal. I will say the wire dressing, I'm an electrician by trade. I will say the wire dressing they did is very nice, very neat. Terminals, terminal strips, contactors, PLC, you know, ice cube relays. Not 100% sure what this is. Power supply, who knows what this is. Kind of weird, it's kind of got a lean to it. The screw here stops it from moving, so maybe that's just how they fit it in there when they squeeze it in. It's on a piece of like a phenolic material. But overall, I mean, the wiring is very neatly made. Obviously, this was all, harness was, you know, subbed out to be made on pins and all that to make these units. So overall, it looks good. And one of the reviews I saw on it said that about the casters were really flimsy it came with. Yeah, they're kind of tiny, but it's not like you're rolling this across gravel. You know, at the end of the day, it's going to be on concrete. One thing I did notice is the casters that comes with the caster kit that goes on the unit, and this is the caster kit that gets built up onto this pole bar right here. They're fairly decent. I mean, maybe they look that big in other videos. I couldn't really tell. Honestly, I thought they were a little flimsier than that. So I got the instructions here. Haven't gone through them yet, but let's see what we have here. Apologies, my garage is an absolute disaster. I just finished up that 2015 Toyota Corolla for a head gasket engine overhaul, a transmission replacement, and repairing front end damage, replacing a hood, bumper, and doing a fender. So I'll have to go through these instructions. They look fairly basic. I'm just curious about like the oil quantity that I should get. I'm assuming just get a 5-gallon pail of it, and we'll be in business. So I'll do that. This place is just packed with stuff. I had so much projects going on, way too much stuff. So my plan is tomorrow, hopefully there'll be time. I'll get some oil. I'll get this filled up, get it connected, cycle it up and down 3 times, I believe is what they call for. I'll verify in the instructions. And then I will, I'm gonna do a review on it. I'm gonna make another video, keep stitching these together, and do a review, show it overall, really close up on stuff, some stuff that was kind of missing. Some videos, it was hard on the audio, some was this, some was that. I hope mine is mine is good. I just want to be able to help somebody. There wasn't a lot of clarity when I was making this decision, at least to see a vehicle up on one and what the true clearance is under it. So we're gonna try for all that. Get a vehicle in here, get it up on there, full height, and then see what type of working space we have underneath there. Like I said, I'm an electrician by trade. I tinker. I fix a lot of broken stuff that we have, whether it's my fiance's car, my vehicle, her daughter's cars, my son's vehicles. They'll be driving. Well, my one son just started driving. My other son will be driving in another year and a half. So be a lot of, you know, older economical vehicles. So we're going to need to keep them running. So I said enough is enough. I'm 48. I said no more crawling under vehicles. I had enough of that. Jack stands, ramps. Enough is enough. So to do even a simple oil change, why struggle? And we'll do a review. We'll talk about where I got it from, and some of the things that we went through with that. There was some challenges along the way, but the seller did do what was right at the end of the day. Came through and did good. So I will recommend him. But we'll talk about that in a future video. Thank you. All right, so I wasn't planning on doing another video tonight. I was just going to call it a night, but here we are. Went up to Tractor Supply, got 5 gallons of the hydraulic fluid. Nothing's in the drawings, in the instruction manual. It's exactly like everybody else said. Horrible drawings, instructions. You think it would at least say what the system capacity is, but it doesn't. So well, I bought 5 gallons, I'll use it. I only put about 1.5 gallons in, and I'm full. So I don't know if this comes with some amount of oil from testing in these cylinders. It doesn't come out because when you get the end and it's all wrapped up on that cable and the hydraulic hoses, there's oil leaking out of it. So there must be some amount of oil that's dripping. Connections were real simple. I mean, everything is labeled and goes together. I was going to tie wrap that and dress that up out of the way. I looped the hoses up in so there wasn't stress when you move this thing around on the fittings. Put a heavy tie wrap down there just to hold it, to secure it, and kind of loop those hoses up so there wasn't stress on them. Let's put a regular cord end on there. Easy peasy. So here it is. So when it goes up well. When it goes down, it shimmers its way down, and I'm assuming that's because there's no weight other than its own weight, and it you know, that relief valve is slowly bleeding out the air, so it kind of goes like, you know, kind of like, you know, squeaks its way down. So I put some lithium grease down there, help the slides lube up a little bit. Started putting these end ramps on right here. Plan on replacing all of these clips, the C clips. This one was broken on it. One of them I broke trying to get it on it, and this is the other one. I'm sure it'll break too. So I'm probably going to go replace. There's 4 per pad. Instead of it being, one suggestion to the manufacturer is it should be 1 continuous rod all the way through. Instead, there's a rod here and then a rod here. So when you go to put these on, you got to get in a really awkward spot to try to get up there and squeeze the clip in. But it is, it should be 1 continuous rod. It seems like it'll be less parts for them and easier for everybody else. But I'm gonna replace those clips because this is obviously overseas. Truth in advertising, it says 47 is the height. 47.25 is the height when it's at its max, going all the way up before it releases. It's actually 45.5. Not 47.25. It hits 47.25 when you release and go all the way up. It's definitely nice and high though. Even at 45 inches, you can fit it in the camera. Even at 45 inches, it's, I mean, sure beats jack stands and ramps. Definitely would be nice to work under. So we're gonna keep on working it, and I'll get the ramps prepped as much as I can, but I'll wait and I'll get all new clips for it. But here's the going down. So you hit down, it releases the lock. It goes up about 3 inches. So it's something to keep in mind, is that if you have a short ceiling like I do, or shorter ceiling, and you're limited, you want to make sure you keep 3-inch minimum additional height so you can go up. Because what you do is you hit the down, and what it'll do is it'll unlock, and then it goes forward, which is about 3 inches, 2 to 3 inches. If I turn it on. You just hold down the whole time. You hear it kind of, it's not really smooth, but I think that's the weight. It's the angle of the scissors right there being at a steeper angle. Keeping your finger on down the whole time. The pump only runs just to release it, to draw it up a little. Then it goes smooth. So that was probably the 5th time up and down. So I would assume all the air is out of the system, and it's not, not air that's binding it on the way down. I'm assuming it would be just that it's draining back, so restricted back into the motor to slow it down. Because the last thing you want to do is when a car is on there, have it come tearing down. So it definitely is a restricted return back. So when it's no load on it, it would make sense. And we'll go up. So once you get there, you're up on you're not locked. So that's where you hit lock, and that's what the lock will do, is it'll draw it back. So I'm gonna hit lock. And lock basically opens up the valve and slowly lets it go back, and it releases the solenoid so that latch drops down. And now it's locked. It's locked into the grooves right there. So now it's safe. So overall, I mean, they have, nice nylon slides in there. I mean, all of these clips concern me, judging by what the other ones were like, but hopefully all is okay. Like I said, I put some nylon or some lithium grease on there. But overall, I mean, it is well built, heavy built. I mean, at least none of these clips are, obviously as long as they don't fall out. And everything seems to be fairly well built. I mean, these are overseas, obviously. And that's one of the things, looking at the skid on how it came, another thing to keep into consideration, it's not just the freight companies that are cowboys with these. I mean, you gotta assume these things are being loaded into shipping containers by, stack loads of them, getting banged in there, getting banged on cargo ships coming across, and then going from shipping yard to shipping yard, getting bounced around. So the fact that this whole skid wasn't destroyed, being it's just like a light 1/2 inch plywood. It's a very low grade 1/2 inch plywood that it comes. It really wasn't overly damaged considering all what it goes through. One thing I kind of surprised, this is nice that these ramps are down, they're diamond plate, and we'll discuss these a little bit later on how they go down. You just lift up here and they fold down. Those are your ramps for driving up over. So come up here and lock it for a longer vehicle. I'm surprised that this wasn't diamond plate, just to give it some traction, just so nothing slips. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to get those non-skid step pads. I believe they're like maybe 7 inches by 18 or something like that, and maybe put a couple of those. There's like a sandpaper anti-skid self-adhesive, tape-on mats. Maybe put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 there, and do 6 on this side. This way, when the vehicle's on there, it's a sure grip. Nothing's moving. You don't want something to slip on this smooth, this smooth glossy paint. So it's just a consideration. Another maybe build tip for a manufacturer to, make some modifications on. We'll go a little deeper into this, but originally I was looking at the Stratus. There were some price changes, and I was looking between this and the K-Tool. But the K-Tool one that was equivalent to this was only 8,000 pounds. I want to say it was the KA90 or something like that, but it was only 8,000 pound rated, but it went up 47 inches. Now, if this can do truly 9,000 pounds, I don't know, I'd have to see. I guess I can put my skid steer on there that weighs about 9,000 pounds and see if it can lift it. But overall, I am pleased with it. It'll be interesting to use it. Like I said, I want to replace those clips, get some better quality clips on there so those parts aren't falling off and they're not breaking. You know, little things like that. If they made little changes like that, they could make a good product. I mean, especially if now, I mean, as of now, and this is end of July of 2024, they just raised the price from $4,000 to $4,600, and they keep creeping up to the price of a 4-poster. And that's what I was going to get, a 4-post, the K-Tool, Scissor, or this. I was on the fence between them all, but it's just so snug in here. A 4-post would have worked. It just would have been a nightmare. So this made the most sense, but they gotta, you know, there's a few things that, you know, if they're gonna keep inching the price up, they're gonna have to. My suggestion would be that maybe get some better components on here. But yeah, that's it for tonight. So on here, there are some grease fittings on here. I tried greasing them. It didn't seem to make a difference with kind of how it lowers. But like I said, I believe it's just because there's no load on here, and you know the valve that keeps it, that slows the speed when it's coming down. Once it has a load on it, you'd see it come back more. So I found grease fittings on here. So on each of the Rams, there's a normal Zerk fitting on there. And there's grease fittings hidden all over the place. And this is something to consider. These are little button head. Never seen them before. Did some research, figure out what they are. So they're little button heads. So there's one here, there's one there. They're up in here, they're down here. So I don't know, I mean, I guess I can see why here, but all these other ones, really a regular Zerk wouldn't have been in the way. It would have cleared it. It would have been a lot easier. Maybe this one would have been in the way, but either way, what you're gonna want with that is I just went up to my local Runnings, and I just bought this, just a needle dispenser style. I also got this one too, but this is literally a true needle, so that wouldn't be any good. But that's just a tip on there. Worked really good, pushes right in there. I mean, you really got to push hard though, otherwise the grease wants to come out the fitting before it wants to go in. But yeah, so I went up to my local Runnings and I was looking for these spring clips, these retaining clips. They didn't have the size I needed, so I bought some on Amazon. Smallest pack they had was 50, $5, $6, so no big deal. So far, we are pretty much together. Just need to do a few final things to it, and then I'll be ready to put a car on there, do a test lift with that. And but the unit's been up and down probably, almost probably 10 times now. So it's ready. So kind of little review on this over the one, the K-Tool one that I was looking at, and without seeing them side by side, I really can't offer anything other than just looking at photos of them from the K-Tool website and different websites there. But I believe on the K-Tool one, like a big piece of this floor was open right here. So to me, having this solid gives it a lot more structural stability and keeping it from trying to tweak or turn under load. Overall, everything on this, I mean, the welds look good. You know, it looks like they got good penetration on everything. You know, I really don't see anything that looks sloppy. You know, it's heavier metal. You know, everything seems good. And here on these little ramps right here, they all lay perfectly flat, except for, so that one there is perfect. This one here, sits a little up. And it's probably when they welded these on in their jig or whatever they had, it might have been a little off. Nothing that's going to affect it, affect operation of it. I don't see it being any major thing. It's nothing worth complaining about. Overall, it seems to be pretty good. The locks are, heavy. My only one possible concern I could say is on the PLC in here. I covered up this alarm that goes off when it goes down, and it's still plenty loud. I mean, it was so loud the neighbors across the street could hear it. So I covered it and kind of toned it down a little bit. Only concern is this PLC right here. Being that I'm an electrician, I see PLCs, they come to end of life 8-10 years, and they become obsolete, they become corrupted. And my concern is what happens when this goes bad. There's no way that I know of how to download the file from here. I mean, presumably it could be downloaded so you have a backup copy of the programs for this. So hopefully that's something that long-term Stratus offers. I do a lot with PLCs and generator systems and paralleling gear between large generators. And it's always a nuisance. We bring in techs to swap our PLCs and stuff because, they do fail, and it's a very specialized industry. So that is a concern, but, let's hope that everything runs good on that. But overall, everything seems to be really good. For moving this around, I'm assuming put that stand right up on top of one, with the ramps down, of course. Set it on there and just roll it around the garage as need be. I'm going to keep it over on my other side out of the way, and then, bring it over here when need be, so I'm not driving over it all the time. But so far, I am impressed with it. I am pleased with it, and I don't see why it won't be a good performing lift throughout. So either later tonight or maybe tomorrow, I'll have some time, get a vehicle in here, get it up, do some lifts with it, and just kind of get a general feel for it. But overall, it seems to operate well. Like I said, I was looking at going to Lowe's. They sell a 6-inch by 2-foot anti-slip step tread. They're about $9 for those. And I was thinking of getting 14 of them because these ramps are 20 inches wide. So 1, 2, 3 in the back, 1, 2, 3, and then one this way. This whole top is covered with like an anti-slip grip, because a concern I have on this is, and even on the diamond plate for that matter, the paint is a very glossy paint. These are the rubber blocks that you get, and I'm pushing down hard on it. I can imagine you have a car up on here and you're really reefing and wrenching on something. It would really stink to have that car slide on you. So I really think that's something that should be a consideration that they do, is put some sort of anti-slip on here. Presumably nobody else has had an issue with that, and hopefully, but I'd hate to have something slip when you're under it doing it. My plans are using this for just general maintenance, wheel work, tire work, brakes, rotations, oil changes, exhaust work. But in the vehicle I just got done working on was a 2015 Toyota Corolla, and the front end was damaged from a rear ending, and it had a bad transmission. A CVT transmission went bad, and the engine was bad. Had a head gasket starting to leak. So, I was pretty deep into that car. Engine was out, transmission was out, the whole front end of the car was off. So I don't see an issue with it. Do it using this lift for that. And my plan is obviously for getting any sort of like transmission jacks under there, you've got those bars in your way. My thought is I could build something that goes across like that, and then have like some 3/4 plywood or something on there that just sets over that, just so as you're traversing in and out through there. But I still don't see it being a big deal. Obviously, you want the vehicle's heavier end, which for most vehicles is going to be the front. You want it on this side, not this side. So here you'd want the front of the car facing this way. So all your weight is over the main part of the scissor. not the other way around, which is nice with this lift because you got to back the car in or drive the car in depending on your application and how you want to work on the vehicle. You can easily put the wheel kit on there, rotate it around. The wheels go on those bars right there. They latch into there, into those two. And then this bar right here, that's where so you can put like a rolling bar on there. You lower the lift, and as those rotate down, they'll cause the lift to lift the wheels up, or push the wheels down, which will lift the lift up so you can roll around. So overall seems to be pretty good, but we'll keep on going. But yeah, I just wanted to make a little note about these grease fittings on here, and that's just another consideration, is to have a small little grease adapter like that. That seem to be readily available, and then you can fit them right in there and properly grease it. All right, so here are the wheels to try to move this. So the idea is that these wheels here lock in to those little bars, and when you lower it, the rotation as this is lowering, it rotates down. It's supposed to lift itself up off the ground. First reaction is, are those tabs here, these kind of locking tabs, to me should have been probably maybe a 1/4 inch further down that, because this back end hardly comes up at all. I put these just shims that I had here to take up some slack to force the wheel further down. I mean, it's barely getting the bottom off the ground. And when I lift that up right there, the leg, I mean, this thing is a challenge. My original idea was, it's a challenge to move. My original idea was to keep this over on the other side of the garage, out of the way in the single car door, and then when I need it, bring it over here to my 2-car opening. This way it's not in the way, we're not driving over it and all that. Just repositioning this over about a foot from where I originally had it, and then up a little bit, I mean, it was a chore to do. So I don't see just wheeling this around easily. So I think this is gonna take a little bit of modification to make this work. This isn't quite how it might be advertised, unless I'm doing something wrong. Just trying this out. I gotta maybe reach out to some other people who have them and say, hey, how do you move this thing around? This jack leg back there, when you're trying to turn with it, it wants to tip over versus rotate and turn easily, just the way it is. So if you think you're gonna make some like sharp 90-degree turns, like you're operating a pallet jack, and you can just kind of bring it over and then turn it into an area, it doesn't look like it's going to operate that way. Like I said, this is my first go around trying to move it. We will see how well that works, and I might have to make some modifications. I guess I could put a little bit bigger caster in there if I could find something that's not too big, a little bigger diameter if those casters were a 1/2 inch bigger around. An inch diameter bigger, a 1/2 inch extra would fit in there, but stuff that we shouldn't have to do. So I just got to check the floor. The floor is flat. It's not like there's a crown in the floor I'm getting hung up on. So, these are the learning curves that we'll have in figuring this out. All right, so this is my first lift with it. This is a 15 Corolla LE. This is the full 48 inch. So a little bit of a challenge to get it up onto these ramps. Many people have said that they've had to put 2x4 blocking down here just to kind of get up over this. And I was working with a couple things. There's, condensation all over the car from sitting out overnight. So the wheels were wet. The ramp got wet, on the smooth surface. I did put some 2x4s just down there just to kind of get it up over there. I was also working with this. I've got almost a 2-inch drop here from where the driveway settled, so I was trying to get over that. But lifted it with no problem. Trying to figure out where the official spot to put the jacking points are. So I went on the pinch welds. That's what it seems everybody does. You gotta see when I take it off what it did to it. This one here looks like it cut into the block pretty heavily. Maybe it didn't. Maybe it's just onto it. But so here my ceilings are 9, I think they were 9.6. So with this car, I have plenty of clearance. I closed the garage door thinking that, you know, it was gonna run into that. And I got some good working room here in front of it. My garage is 24 feet deep. I've got good room behind it. You know, so I could close the door. I was thinking I was gonna have to back the vehicles in so I have the room behind it. But, I mean, as you can see, there's plenty of room. You know, get under here, you can get to the exhaust, you know, get to suspension. I mean, get to any of this stuff. It's pretty well centered. So I would definitely, if you've got the ceiling height, I definitely recommend going with the XT, with the T being for tall, going the extra, probably close to 7 to 8 inches. And here, as for example, I'm sitting on a folding chair now, and my head is right here. So, I mean, it's good working space to be under the car, and you can get to anything. If I had to do another engine or transmission, you know, I could easily dropped out here, right out the bottom with a transmission jack. The only thing I would do is put a jack stand in the back, you know, maybe under the axle or something back there, just to kind of, you know, for any weight shift, but just drop it straight out the bottom. So, you know, so far I'm impressed. We'll see how it lowers. Hopefully it lowers well and doesn't come tearing down, because this is, you know, see how much the set points have to be for the lowering. So we'll give that a try. But, you know, nice and roomy. So, I mean, so far no real complaints. Other than the wheels, it's kind of a pain moving this thing around. That is for certainly is going to be a pain and a challenge. Like I said, I'd like to keep this bay open. This is my 2-car bay. And then over here, excuse the mess over here, I've got my single car bay that I figured I would leave the jack over here, or the lift over here. And this way it's kind of out of the way. And then when I need it, I could just roll it over here, use it, especially during the winter time. I don't want people coming in with salt all over their vehicles, just dripping all over this for no reason, endlessly all winter long. So let's try doing a lowering. Let's see how this goes. And we're looking at our ceiling height because we got to go up. Yeah, it's definitely coming down. I mean, it's smooth. I don't think it needs any adjustment with speed. It's nice and gentle coming down. Maybe it could even go a little bit slower. So far so good. You know, overall, I'm impressed. I'm impressed with it. Just got to do a little bit of work on that, on how to make this more portable and mobile. Come up with something that, you know, maybe kind of re-engineer what they did. All right, so this is going to be the second lift again. Just want to run through it one more time. lock on when it's going up. You just push the lock button, it'll basically release the cylinders and allow them to lower down to the lock latches. So now the car is latched. So I'm 6'2". I mean, sure, nothing beats a 2-post or a 4-post, but when you have restricted ceilings, I couldn't really go much higher even if I crammed a 4-post in here. I mean, work-wise, I mean, compared to when I just replaced the engine and transmission, or rebuilt the engine and transmission and pulled those out and had the whole front of the car off, compared to doing that via having it up on jacks, only maybe 2 foot off the ground, man, this is welcome for doing work under here, getting into any of this stuff. Like I said, you know, your wheel work is nice and accessible. Anything on the bottom side is accessible. So I'm pleased with it. It lifts well, it lowers well. I think, this is my take, without, you know, if you're on the fence between the K-Tool and the Stratus, I think this is a better lift. Obviously I'm not sponsored by them, but I believe it's a better lift overall looking at some parts. But I think this will serve me well. When I took these blocks out, the blocks weren't cut. I was really close to where this one radius down right here, so it kind of dug into that radius right there. But no, the blocks had no damage to them. It fit everything under there fine, so I think this worked really well. I was looking at getting for my Yukon, because they say that the frame rails are too close, so they recommend using spreader bars on them. And there were $750 to $800 for them at the time when I bought this, and they're really nothing fancy. They look like they might be 1.5 inches by maybe 3 tube, and then they have slides on them with adjustable pads so you can come up to the frame rails on a framed vehicle. My plan with it, so looking at my 2013 Yukon, the frame rails are about 48-inch centers, which would bring me 6 inches in from the inside on each one, which I believe would be fine on blocks. But if I wanted to be extra safe to spread the load out, so that instead of it being a point load right on there, really no difference in the point load this is, but they recommend the spreader bars on a framed vehicle, is I was going to get some 2-inch by 4-inch tube, 1/4-inch wall, so it's a little heavier than what they have, and then just span across it. So I bought from Amazon. I know I talked about the getting the step treads, the 6-inch by 24-inch step treads from Lowe's. They're like $9 a piece. It would have been $140 to tread this up with a bunch of different treads. I found it, I bought on Amazon for $30. It's an 18-inch wide by 30 foot or 20 foot long self-adhesive abrasive strip, traction strip. So I'm going to take this, kind of scuff it a little bit, and I'm going to adhere, because these ramps are 20 inches overall width. But by the time you figure your radius, if I'm back 1 inch on each side, it'll be perfect. This way I'm not catching on this lip, and I can run it from 1 inch in all the way down here. That'll help good traction. It'll make sure these pads don't slip. I mean, I really don't think with the weight of the vehicle, these pads would slip, but any extra security is better. One thing I did mess up and I got to swap is I got these ramps on backwards. The handle should be on the outside. I don't know if this shows, but this handle should be on the outside, not on the inside. So I just have to pull these pins, but these pins are just in here temporarily anyways, because this is the one that the C-clips broke on, or the snap rings broke on, which I got new ones on order. So just, kind of giving it to perspective to someone who's 6'2". It's not bad. Not bad considering what we have to work with. I mean, yeah, sure, I'd love a pole barn with a 4-post and a 2-post in it for different, depending on what's being done. But the reality is we got to work with what we have, and I don't see a pole barn anytime in the near future. So this is a great solution for now, and it allows any work to be done that can be done. All right, so as this should be the final video in this unit. So my overall views on this, I'm impressed. I'm impressed with it. I was nervous about it, you know, not knowing how support would be for it, not knowing how parts would be for it. So, want to talk about price, and I know this is where it stands, but I just want to give a review of where I purchased it from. I purchased it from a company called My Garage Supplies, and I worked with a gentleman named Mike there. And I've had this lift and different carts through different vendors for probably 4 months now at this point. And I was going back and forth between it. And they were between $4,019 was the highest. There were some for $39.80. There was one vendor had it for like $37.80, so call that $3,800. So when I decided to go get the lift, I purchased it at My Garage Supplies. So I clicked on the link to purchase, made the purchase, it was $4,019. The credit card sale went through, I got a confirmation, everything was good. You know, I'll be receiving shipping information shortly, that type of stuff, so the transaction had fully gone through. And about 3 hours later, I received an email saying that my order had been canceled and my card was refunded. So I reached out to Mike at My Garage Supplies, and he said due to an error on the website, they hadn't updated their pricing yet. And apparently all the pricing went up to about $4,600, $4,590. You know, it went up about $600. So when I questioned it, I'm like, but I had a confirmed finished sale. I understand your website wasn't updated, they raised prices for whatever reason, but why should I have to incur that you know, your website, I mean, this was a confirmed contractual deal between us. He's like, sorry, that is what it is, but they raised the pricing due to shipping. Obviously overseas shipping had gone up, so that, you know, Stratus allegedly sets these prices. Which my question was, but this product was already owned in the US. It was already shipped here, so theoretically it shipped here at the lower price. It's not like it was shipped, when I ordered this, it's not like it gets shipped from China or wherever this comes from to right to my doorstep. So therefore, you know, like they're an intermediary with the order. It's already there, it's in Texas, it's there, nothing has changed. The shipping freight hasn't gone up. This is the shipping from overseas because this is set by Stratus, not by the local vendors. So long story short, after much going back and forth about it, I was kind of perturbed about it because me as a buyer, I can't cancel the sale once it's made. Once this is made, it's on the way. I would need a return merchandise authorization, an RMA. I would pay a restocking fee, all this stuff, but the vendor can just cancel it because of that. So, but after much going back and forth via text, Mike, he did the right thing. He lowered it back down to the original $4,019 for me. You know, they made the corrections on their website, so future orders didn't go through. So it just happened to be that I placed the order in a glitch point right in between when they were updating their website. But Mike did the right thing, and it took some negotiating, but Mike did the right thing, and I would 100% recommend My Garage Supplies. I'd recommend Mike. He was a pleasure to work with, and he did the right thing by adjusting the price to what was the sale price, or the price that it was for sale for at the time of my purchase. He did re-honor that. I'm not sure if Mike is the owner, if he just works for the company, but he did the right thing. And if you're looking for anything, I'd recommend them over any of the other guys. Didn't deal with any of the other folks at the other places that sell these. I know numerous other places sell these. Tool Pan sells them. This place, that place. But Mike did right by me by making the correction and holding good on what we had negotiated. So that concludes this video. I hope this was helpful. I hope this is helpful. I hope that I gave enough information and the details are clear. So if somebody's looking at one of these and they're on the fence with one of these, you know, not sure, hey, you know, how much real working space is under there? I hope this helps. I hope this helps give somebody that information, because that was something I struggled to find, was at least what I thought were more clear pictures, like how much real space is out there. And I think these XTs, being the tall model, I think these are fairly new, and there might not be a lot of them out there. There's a lot of Stratus SAE MS9000Xs, and I believe the X means extra wide, I'm not sure. But not a lot of the T models out there. And then the folks that have them, a lot of them had shorter garages and stuff. I mean, not that my garage is tall by any stretch, but you really couldn't get a good feel for, hey, how much working space is truly under there. If somebody's using it in an 8-foot high garage, doesn't matter what model it is, they can't go up to full height, which, you know, and then that's a challenge. And I totally get that, because my previous house had real low garage ceilings and everything was really a challenge in there. So fortunately, these ceilings are a little higher. I wish they were even higher than this, but with that, you know, seeing this lift and doing it for what I do, for oil changes, for brake jobs, rotors, any suspension work, minor type repairs, exhaust repairs, work like that, all the way up to the bigger work. You know, I have never done a transmission swap. I've never done an engine overhaul on something like this. I typically have worked on, you know, bigger diesel type stuff. Like I said, I'm an electrician by trade. I dabble in this stuff. By no means am I experienced, you know, as a mechanic, but I don't mind getting into things, getting into that car. That car, and I think at the end of this video compilation I'm making, I'm gonna put a little movie clip together of what we did on the car, what I did on the car. You know, it was a big project. It was a big project to pull out. I had no idea what a overhead valve 4-cylinder car, you know, how all that went together. I downloaded the all data manuals on it. I find those work well. At least for me, they worked well. There was a lot of information on there, helped me with torques on head bolts and all that, to the tear down, and you know, all of that stuff was really value added, and helped me along. So yeah, so if anybody's looking and on the fence, please feel free to reach out in the comments, ask any questions. I'll answer them, you know, however I can, help with whatever I can. But yeah, thank you.